and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on.
I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of the UK's second-largest city.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a little different. We've got a stack of source material that comes in the form of audio excerpts from, well, a popular radio drama.
That's right. So instead of articles or research papers, our sources give us these glimpses into the lives and experiences of a few characters just navigating their day.
It's like getting little snapshots of life unfolding, isn't it?
Exactly.
So our mission in this deep dive is to listen closely to these interactions, unpack the underlying human experiences, and sort of see what nuggets of insight we can pull out.
Yeah, how people deal with unexpected situations, personal struggles, everyday relationships. What can we actually learn from these moments?
Precisely. We'll be acting as your guides to these snippets, helping you understand the situations and, the emotional currents running through them.
Get ready to look at a few seemingly ordinary moments and find the extraordinary within.
Okay, let's unpack this first thread from the sources. We find ourselves in a hotel lift that suddenly gets stuck. And inside are two characters, Ed and his partner, who seem to have just had, well, a bit of a rough patch in their relationship.
You can hear the frustration straight away, can't you? Huh? They're reflecting on the previous evening, calling it a write-off. There's tension, like about getting into a swimming pool, and past arguments, something about telling me what to do when I was up that tree, those specific little digs.
But being stuck, literally stuck in this confined space, seems to force a different kind of interaction.
Yeah, it changes the dynamic.
They try the emergency button, call reception, they get hungry.
And we hear them share a shortbread biscuit.
He only had two left. It's quite a moment.
It is. And that shared predicament, it seems to break the ice somehow.
Definitely.
They actually start to apologize to each other. They say they hate fighting, especially given it's their anniversary.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. They decide to pivot.
Completely change tack.
They move their anniversary celebration to that night, opting for a night, and now their daughter, Kira, is at a sleepover. They promise to make it romantic.
So this situation, as inconvenient as it was, provided this unexpected space for reconciliation and, well, reprioritization. The physical stop led to an emotional reset.
Meanwhile, the sources also give us the perspective of the person on the other end of that call, Zenith.
Ah, Zenith.
It's his first day working reception at the Great Gables Country House Hotel.
And what a first day. Yeah. Seriously, the lift is stuck with people inside. The other receptionist is off sick. The manager is tied up with a spa emergency.
Chaos.
Total chaos. Zenith is clearly stressed. You hear him feeling hot and overwhelmed. He's even questioning his ability to do the job compared to just delivering takeaways.
Yeah, he sounds really unsure. He asks his dad not to tell Colin how stressed he is.
And then his dad, Ara, turns up.
Bringing him lunch, a chicken wrap from last night's chicken yogurt salad chutney.
And Zenith is a bit embarrassed by this, isn't he?
Totally. Like, Dad, I don't need you bringing me lunch like it's my first day of school.
But the dad's reaction is great. He offers reassurance. He says, look, the lift breakdown, the sick colleague, none of that is your fault. And he says Zenith has done the right things, calling the lift operator. He actually says he's impressed.
So you've got these two sets of people dealing with being unexpectedly stuck or facing unexpected challenges on a big day, first day for Zenith, anniversary for the couple.
And the lift. It eventually just starts working again, like magic, as that says.
Magic, yeah.
And the hotel, through Zenith, prompted by his dad, offers the couple compensation. Complimentary night stay, dinner, spa passes.
But they decline for that night. They want to stick to their new plan, stay home.
But they say they'll book soon.
Which really underlines that for them, the disruption became an opportunity. So what does this all tell us when we put together?
Well, it shows how these unexpected problems, these disruptions, they create pressure, definitely.
Yeah.
But they also create space. Space for resolving interpersonal issues, like in the lift.
And it shows how support, even just bringing lunch or offering reassurance, can make a huge difference during stressful moments, especially on a challenging first day.
Absolutely. And you also see how a business, tries to handle service disruptions and make amends. It's a picture of coping mechanisms, really.
Okay, let's move now to another thread from the sources, focusing on a conversation between Lillian and Naomi. Naomi brings flowers to Lillian as a thank you.
Yes, and when Naomi arrives, Lillian is visibly upset. We hear she's weeping, and she describes going through a bit of a difficult time.
She quickly reassures Naomi it's not about her, though.
Right, and Naomi tries to sort of lighten the mood briefly. Mentions her own recent dating disappointment, something about she should have trusted her instincts when she saw his shoes.
Yes. But the core of this conversation, it dives deep into Lillian's experience of grief following her mother Peggy's death.
She acknowledges her mother had a long life, far longer than we might have hoped, and she's grateful for that.
But she notes that in some ways that makes the loss feel even greater.
And what's fascinating here is her description of the cognitive impact of grief.
Yeah.
She talks about her brain not being able to compute it.
Yeah, that really struck me.
The shock of the thought, she's dead, just keeps returning.
Yeah.
She knows it intellectually, but she says she can't grasp it emotionally.
There's that specific, really poignant detail in the sources about the she was queuing in the tea room.
Oh, the vanilla slices.
Yes. She saw vanilla slices and instinctively thought of getting one for her mom because Peggy loved them. And then just, bam, the realization hits.
Natasha, the person serving, had even started boxing it up.
Oof.
It highlights so powerfully how deeply ingrained those habits and connections are, and how death just severs them suddenly, creating these jolting moments of realization. It's brutal.
Lillian expresses feeling completely knocked for six and describes this profound sense of loss of identity.
Yeah, she says, I feel as though I don't know who I am without her. Like she's just floating on the breeze with nothing solid for me to tether to.
That image is so strong, untethered.
It really raises that question about how our identity can be so intertwined with our closest relationships, and how losing them can shake our very sense of self and belonging.
The sources also touch on different coping mechanisms. Lillian mentions Kenton's method of, boxing them up.
Putting tricky feelings away, trying to put them out of reach.
But Lillian's counter-argument is that this strategy is only temporary, right?
Exactly. She says eventually the cupboard bursts open, you try and cram too much in, and you're forced to deal with it anyway.
So she seems to lean towards feeling the feelings, despite how exhausting it is. She says she feels permanently done in.
It contrasts those different approaches to processing difficult emotions, avoidance versus engagement. Neither is easy.
And the final point Lillian makes in this conversation is particularly striking. She feels this sense of wanting to go home.
But then realizes she is home, in Ambridge.
But Ambridge, her familiar environment, doesn't feel like home anymore without her mother there. She talks about almost expecting to see her curtains open or see her on the village green.
That sense of place being so tied to a person.
And she wonders if this feeling, this profound sense of displacement, is maybe a sign.
A sign that it's time for her do something else. Go somewhere else. She even suggests leaving Ambridge entirely, and later mentions this to Kenton too, which connects that internal experience of grief, the identity crisis, the displacement, to a potential massive external life change. Loss can fundamentally alter your relationship with your environment and your whole future direction.
So what does this all mean when we look at these two seemingly separate sets of events together? The lift, the grief.
Well, we see characters grappling with unexpected disruptions, don't we?
Definitely. One's physical, the stuck lift, and the other is this profound emotional disruption through grief.
And both situations force characters to confront difficult realities and internal states. Relationship conflict in the lift.
And the overwhelming reality of loss, that sense of being untethered for Lillian.
We see how individuals react under pressure and distress. Zenith's first day panic. Lillian's deep emotional turmoil.
And we see the role of others in providing support, reassurance, or simply being present.
Whether it's Naomi bringing flowers, Era bringing lunch and encouragement, or Ed and his partner managing to work through their argument together in that confined space, support comes in different forms.
Even Justin and Alice are mentioned as supporting Lillian later.
Right. And the sources highlight resilience and adaptation too. Resolving conflict, finding supporting grief, adapting plans, or just, making it through a really tough first day.
Perhaps the core connection then is how these disruptions, big or small, act as catalysts.
I think so. The stuck lift forced a crucial conversation, leading to reconciliation.
And the profound disruption of death forces Lillian to confront her deepest emotions, her sense of self, and even question her fundamental connection to the place she calls home.
It really highlights how life's pauses, whether they're, mechanical or tragic, they don't just interrupt things, they reveal things.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They show us what's beneath the surface, maybe who we are without our usual anchors. And sometimes, they force us to consider a completely different path forward.
So this deep dive into these character moments really shows us that unexpected challenges, big or small, are just part of life. And they can reveal so much about how we cope, how we connect, and how we redefine our path forward.
Absolutely. We saw how something as simple as being stuck in a metal box can, weirdly, open the door to repairing a connection.
Right.
And how the devastating loss of a parent can make the most familiar place in the world feel alien, prompting thoughts of leaving everything behind.
It makes you think about how resilient people can be, finding ways to move forward or find those moments of connection, even in really difficult circumstances.
Or perhaps how some disruptions might feel less like something to overcome and more like a signpost.
Yeah.
Urging us to question where we are and maybe consider if it's time to, as Lillian puts it, go somewhere else entirely.
What stands out to you from these stories? Does that feeling of Ambridge not feeling like home resonate? How place is so tied to relationships?
Or does the lift incident make you think about how sometimes those small stresses can actually lead to big breakthroughs in how we connect with people?
Something to ponder from our deep dive today.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the archers. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
kind of, yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep, that's the ball bar. That's,
This one.
yep, that's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever